Greetings, this is Darkmaster491 and today I'm showcasing my weakness policy Inteleon in some Series 7 ranked double battles. Here's the team that I'll be using along with the rental code so you can try out this team for yourself. Also, I made timestamps for this video, so if you want to skip ahead to the battles, you can click on any of the timestamps which you can find in the description for this video. Now let's talk about this team. This is the team that I built myself, and this team has some interesting modes that make it quite flexible. There's the Inteleon and Rillaboom mode, where we have the Soak and Woodhammer combo. To execute this combo, I would have my Inteleon use Soak on an opposing Pokemon to change that Pokemon's type into the Water type, and then my Rillaboom can use a Woodhammer or G-Max Drum Solo to get super effective damage onto that opposing Pokemon. Also, my Rillaboom has the Miracle Seed item, which increases the power of its Grass type attacks. Another mode of this team is the Togekiss and Stakataka mode, where I can have my Togekiss use Follow Me to redirect attacks to itself, and my Stakataka can set up the Trick Room, which is very helpful for my Stakataka and my Alolan Marowak since they are both very slow Pokemon. My Stakataka has 0 IVs in speed with a brave nature, so it's usually best to use my Stakataka if you're planning on setting up the Trick Room. But my Alolan Marowak has a little bit of speed investment, so my Alolan Marowak can be useful in Trick Room and outside of Trick Room, depending on how fast the opposing Pokemon are. My Togekiss has the Focus Sash item, which allows it to take 2 hits before fainting, and this is actually an offensive Togekiss with a timid nature and max speed. So I have the option to Dynamax my Togekiss and have it use Max Airstream to deal big damage while increasing its speed as well as the speed of its ally Pokemon. Also, my Alolan Marowak has the Lightning Rod ability, which is very useful in redirecting electric type attacks away from my Inteleon and my Togekiss, which are both weak to electric type attacks. And finally, the most important mode of this team that I'm going to showcase today is the Comfey and Inteleon mode, where we have the Giga Drain and Weakness Policy combo. To execute this combo, I would have my Comfey use the move Giga Drain on my Inteleon to prop my Inteleon's weakness policy, which would give my Inteleon a +2 boost to its attack and special attack, and then my Inteleon would get big damage with its attacks. Of course, only the +2 special attack boost matters, since my Inteleon is a special sweeper. My Comfey has the Triage ability, so healing moves have +3 priority when used by this Pokemon. Giga Drain and Floral Healing are considered healing moves, so Giga Drain and Floral Healing will have +3 priority when my Comfey uses these moves. This is very useful since my Comfey will be able to use Giga Drain and Floral Healing before redirection moves like Follow Me and Rage Powder can be used, since the moves Follow Me and Rage Powder only have +2 priority. Also, if there is an opposing Pokemon that is slower than my Comfey that tries to use Fake Out on my Comfey will be able to use Giga Drain or Floral Healing before that opposing Pokemon can use Fake Out on my Comfey. But I'll need to be careful if the opposing Pokemon with Fake Out is faster than my Comfey, since in that case, my Comfey will get flinched by Fake Out before it can use Giga Drain or Floral Healing, since the move Fake Out also has +3 priority. The cool thing about Inteleon is that its signature move Snipe Shot ignores the effects of opposing Pokemon's moves and abilities that draw in moves, allowing this move to hit the chosen target. This is very useful when your opponent has Pokemon like Clefairy and Togekiss, which love to use the move Follow Me to redirect attacks away from their ally Pokemon. And Snipe Shot does not get redirected by the Storm Drain ability. Also, when you Gigantamax Inteleon, G-Max Hydro Snipe completely ignores the Storm Drain ability, since G-Max Hydro Snipe can be used on the target regardless of its abilities. This means that G-Max Hydro Snipe also does not get redirected by the Storm Drain ability, and G-Max Hydro Snipe will always deal damage to Pokemon with abilities like Storm Drain and Water Absorb. As for the rest of my Inteleon's moves, Blizzard allows Inteleon to get super effective damage on Grass and Dragon type Pokemon, and it hits both opposing Pokemon, so it's a useful move when my opponent is using redirection moves like Follow Me and Rage Powder. But Blizzard has 70% accuracy, so it's not that reliable to use Blizzard outside of Hail, so what I'll need to do is Gigantamax my Inteleon and have it use Max Hailstorm to set up the Hail so that Blizzard will be 100% accurate in the Hail. Finally, Air Slash is a decent option for a single target flying type move that gets super effective damage on grass type Pokemon, and also gives Inteleon the option to use Max Airstream when I Gigantamax my Inteleon. So let's get to the battles now so you can see the weakness policy Inteleon in action. In this first battle, my opponent is going to lead with Clefairy and Rotom-Heat, while I'm going to lead with my Inteleon and my Comfey. It's pretty obvious that the opposing Clefairy is going to try to redirect my Inteleon's attacks away from the opposing Rotom-Heat by using the move Follow Me, so I'm going to have my Comfey use Giga Drain on my Inteleon to activate my Inteleon's weakness policy, and I'm going to take out the opposing Rotom-Heat with a +2 special attack boosted Snipe Shot. Snipe Shot ignores redirection moves like Follow Me, so there's nothing the opposing Clefairy can do to stop my Inteleon from using Snipe Shot on the opposing Rotom-Heat, and that's going to be a one-hit KO. Now my opponent is going to send in the Glastrier, and since my opponent knows that my Inteleon can keep on using Snipe Shot to ignore the Follow Me redirection, I'm going to predict that the opposing Clefairy is not going to use Follow Me this turn, expecting my Inteleon to use Snipe Shot again. And I'm going to Gigantamax my Inteleon to get big damage onto the opposing Glastrier with a +2 special attack boosted G-Max Hydro Snipe. And I made an amazing prediction here, as you can see the opposing Clefairy used Helping Hand instead of Follow Me, expecting my Inteleon to use Snipe Shot again. I'm going to have my Comfey use Floral Healing to recover some of my Gigantamax Inteleon's HP, and now, my Gigantamax Inteleon is going to take out the opposing Glastrier with a +2 special attack boosted G-Max Hydro Snipe. Now my opponent is going to send in the Indeedee-Female, which is another redirection user, so I don't think there's anything that my opponent can do at this point, unless they want to Dynamax the Indeedee, but that's not going to be too helpful for my opponent. So my opponent is going to forfeit the battle. In this next battle, my opponent is going to lead with Mienshao and Dracozolt, while I'm going to lead with my Inteleon and my Comfey. Mienshao has access to the move Fake Out, and Mienshao is faster than Comfey, so I'm going to switch out my Comfey and send in my Alolan Marowak, which is immune to the damage from Fake Out, and has the Lightning Rod ability, which will redirect all single target electric type attacks to my Alolan Marowak. So basically, the opposing Dracozolt cannot damage my Inteleon with any electric type attacks, while my Alolan Marowak is on the field, unless the opposing Dracozolt uses an electric type spread move like Discharge. So I'm going to Gigantamax my Inteleon to get some big damage onto the opposing Dracozolt with a super effective Max Hailstorm, and my opponent is going to Dynamax the Dracozolt. But if the opposing Dynamax Dracozolt went for an electric type Dynamax move onto my Gigantamax Inteleon, that won't work since single target electric type attacks will get redirected to my Alolan Marowak, which will take no damage from electric type attacks thanks to its Lightning Rod ability. The opposing Mienshao uses Fake Out onto the Comfey slot as I expected, but I switched in my Alolan Marowak, which takes no damage from the Fake Out since it's a Ghost type Pokemon. My Gigantamax Inteleon is going to get big damage onto the opposing Dynamax Dracozolt with a super effective Max Hailstorm, which will set up the Hail, and the opposing Dynamax Dracozolt is going to try to use Max Lightning on my Gigantamax Inteleon, but the Max Lightning is going to get redirected to my Alolan Marowak thanks to its Lightning Rod ability. All of the Pokemon on the field are going to take a bit of chip damage from the Hail, so this will break a potential Focus Sash that the opposing Mienshao may have. Now I'm going to switch out my Alolan Marowak and send in my Comfey so I can have my Comfey on the field ready to support my Gigantamax Inteleon for the next turn. I'm going to predict that the opposing Mienshao will use Ally Switch, which is exactly what happens, and I'm going to have my Gigantamax Inteleon target the Mienshao slot with a Max Hailstorm, which is going to finish off the opposing Dynamax Dracozolt since the opposing Mienshao used Ally Switch. So I made another amazing prediction in this battle. Now that my Gigantamax Inteleon knocked out the opposing Dynamax Dracozolt, I can sweep the rest of my opponent's team with my Inteleon, since I have Comfey on the field ready to support my Inteleon. My Gigantamax Inteleon, my Comfey, and the opposing Mienshao will take some chip damage from the Hail. Now my opponent is going to send in the Hippowdon, which will set up the Sandstorm, but it's too late for that since my Gigantamax Inteleon already knocked out the opposing Dynamax Dracozolt, which would benefit from the Sandstorm if it has the Sand Rush ability, and my opponent is going to forfeit the battle since it's pretty much good game at this point. In this next battle, my opponent is going to lead with Rillaboom and Tyranitar, while I'm going to lead with my Inteleon and my Rillaboom. The opposing Rillaboom is threatening my Inteleon with a super effective Grassy Glide, but if I Gigantamax my Inteleon, it will be able to survive a Grassy Glide from the opposing Rillaboom as long as the opposing Rillaboom is not Choice Banded and doesn't have the Miracle Seed item. So I'm going to have my Rillaboom use Fake Out on the opposing Rillaboom, and I'm going to Gigantamax my Inteleon so that it can use Max Hailstorm on the opposing Rillaboom. The Fake Out from my Rillaboom plus the Max Hailstorm from my Inteleon should pick up the knockout on the opposing Rillaboom as long as the opposing Rillaboom does not have the Assault Vest item. If the opposing Rillaboom has the Assault Vest item, then that means my Gigantamax Inteleon will survive a Grassy Glide from the opposing Rillaboom. The opposing Tyranitar is going to use Protect, expecting my Rillaboom to use a Grass type attack on it, but I don't feel threatened by the opposing Tyranitar since the opposing Tyranitar should be scared of my Inteleon and my Rillaboom. And the opposing Rillaboom tried to use some kind of priority attack. As you can see, it tried to move before my Gigantamax Inteleon. The Max Hailstorm from my Gigantamax Inteleon will do a lot of damage to the opposing Rillaboom, but it's not enough to pick up the KO. And this tells me that most likely the opposing Rillaboom has the Assault Vest item. All of the Pokemon on the field are going to take a bit of chip damage from the hail, but the grassy terrain will recover their health back. The opposing Tyranitar no longer has its Sandstorm weather, so my opponent needs to switch out the Tyranitar if they want to set up the Sandstorm again, or they can Dynamax the Tyranitar and have it use Max Rockfall to set up the Sandstorm again, but it's not a good idea for my opponent to Dynamax the Tyranitar in front of my Inteleon and my Rillaboom, which threaten it with super effective attacks. Now my opponent is going to switch out the Tyranitar and send in the Heatran, expecting my Rillaboom to use a Grass type attack onto the Tyranitar slot. The opposing Rillaboom is going to use Grassy Glide onto my Gigantamax Inteleon, and that's going to activate my Inteleon's weakness policy, increasing my Inteleon's special attack by 2 stages, and my Gigantamax Inteleon is going to take out the opposing Heatran with a G-Max Hydro Snipe at +2 special attack. They thought that my Gigantamax Inteleon was going to use another Max Hailstorm on the opposing Rillaboom, but nope, they got that play completely wrong. My Rillaboom is going to finish off the opposing Rillaboom with a Wood Hammer, and now my opponent is down to 2 Pokemon, so my Gigantamax Inteleon and my Rillaboom should be able to clean up here. My Gigantamax Inteleon and my Rillaboom are going to take some more damage from the hail, but the Grassy Terrain recovery will cancel the damage from the hail. Now my opponent is going to send in the Tyranitar and the Gastrodon, and this next turn is going to be really epic. Just watch what happens this turn. The opposing Tyranitar Sandstorm will set up the Sandstorm for the opposing Tyranitar, which gives it a boost in special defense, and my opponent is going to Dynamax the Tyranitar, hoping that they can make some kind of comeback in this game. I'll bet that my opponent is expecting the Gastrodon Storm Drain ability to redirect the G-Max Hydro Snipe, but they have no idea what's going on here. The opposing Gastrodon is going to use Protect, so they thought my Rillaboom was going to use a Grass type attack into the Gastrodon slot. The G-Max Hydro Snipe from my Gigantamax Inteleon is going to ignore the opposing Gastrodon Storm Drain ability, and it's going to take out the opposing Dynamax Tyranitar in one hit. And that's pretty much good game at this point, since my Rillaboom could easily take out the opposing Gastrodon with a super effective Grassy Glide or Wood Hammer. My Gigantamax Inteleon and my Rillaboom are going to take some Sandstorm damage, which gets cancelled out by the recovery from the Grassy Terrain, and that's going to be the end of my Inteleon's Gigantamax turns. And my opponent is going to forfeit the battle since they know that it's pretty much GG at this point. In this next battle, my opponent is going to lead with Celesteela and Alolan Marowak, while I'm going to lead with my Inteleon and my Rillaboom. So I'm thinking that I really need to get rid of this Celesteela right now, since my opponent could Dynamax the Celesteela, and the Celesteela could use Max Airstream to boost its speed, and that could be a huge problem for my team. But my Inteleon has the move Soak, and my Rillaboom is on the field, so you know what that means. It's Soak and G-Max Drum Solo time. My opponent is going to switch out the Alolan Marowak since they're scared of my Inteleon potentially using a Water type move on the Alolan Marowak, but I don't even care about the Alolan Marowak since the opposing Celesteela is the bigger threat here. My opponent is going to switch in the Tyranitar, so I guess they don't have any Pokemon that resist Water type moves on their team. Now I'm going to Gigantamax my Rillaboom, and my opponent is going to Dynamax their Celesteela. Since my Dynamax animation happens first, This tells me that my Rillaboom is faster than the opposing Celesteela, which is a very good thing. I'd prefer that my Rillaboom doesn't take any damage from a max Airstream from the opposing Celesteela. My Rillaboom has the Miracle Seed item, which allows the Soak and G-Max Drum Solo combo to guarantee the KO onto offensive Dynamax Celesteela with max HP investment. My Inteleon is going to use Soak onto the opposing Dynamax Celesteela, which will change the opposing Dynamax Celesteela's type into a Water type, and my Gigantamax Rillaboom is going to take out the opposing Dynamax Celesteela with a super effective G-Max Drum Solo. And that's pretty much good game, since Celesteela was my opponent's best answer to my team, and my Gigantamax Rillaboom knocked it out in the first turn of the battle. My Pokemon are going to take some chip damage from the Sandstorm, but the grassy terrain will recover their health back. My opponent is going to send in the Alolan Marowak, and they're just going to forfeit the battle. This was probably the quickest game I've ever had, but that's the power of Soak and G-Max Drum Solo. It's powerful enough to make your opponents forfeit after turn 1 of the battle. And here's the final battle of this video. In this battle, I'm going to showcase the Trick Room mode of my team. My opponent is going to lead with Cinderace and Galarian Moltres, while I'm going to lead with my Stakataka and my Togekiss. My opponent is going to Gigantamax their Cinderace to deal big damage to my Pokemon, but I'm going to have my Togekiss use the move Follow Me, so I can have my Stakataka set up the Trick Room. My Togekiss has the Focus Sash item, so it'll be able to take 2 hits from the opposing Pokemon, but I'm sure that the opposing Gigantamax Cinderace will use Max Steel Spike, which will bring my Togekiss down to its Focus Sash, and the Galarian Moltres will probably try to flinch my Stakataka with the Fiery Wrath. So hopefully they won't flinch my Stakataka with the Fiery Wrath, and hopefully my Stakataka will be able to set up the Trick Room. The opposing Gigantamax Cinderace uses Max Steel Spike as I expected, which is the correct play for my opponent, and that's going to bring my Togekiss down to its Focus Sash. The opposing Gigantamax Cinderace and the Galarian Moltres are going to get a +1 defense boost from the Max Steel Spike, and the opposing Galarian Moltres will use Fiery Wrath, which will hit both of my Pokemon. My Togekiss is going to get knocked out, and they're going to get a critical hit onto my Stakataka with the Fiery Wrath, which is kind of annoying. But thankfully my Stakataka doesn't get flinched by the Fiery Wrath, and it will be able to set up the Trick Room. Now I'm going to send in my Alolan Marowak, and I'm going to Dynamax my Alolan Marowak to get big damage onto the opposing Gigantamax Cinderace with a Max Flare. The Gigantamax Cinderace is currently a Steel type, so I can have my Stakataka use Body Press, and I can have my Dynamax Alolan Marowak use Max Flare to get super effective damage onto the Gigantamax Cinderace. So I'm going to double into the Gigantamax Cinderace, since the Gigantamax Cinderace is the bigger threat. Body Press is going to deal enough damage to guarantee that my Dynamax Alolan Marowak will pick up the knockout onto the Gigantamax Cinderace with a super effective Max Flare. And the Max Flare will set up the Sun, so my Alolan Marowak's Max Flares will do more damage now since the Sun powers up Fire-type moves. Also, it's kind of funny how the opposing Cinderace got taken out by a super effective Fire-type move, since it was originally a Fire-type Pokemon, but that's what happens when Libero Cinderace becomes a Steel type after using a Steel type move. The opposing Galarian Moltres is going to hit both of my Pokemon with a Fiery Wrath, but thankfully my Dynamax Alolan Marowak took the hit pretty well. Now my opponent is going to send in the Mamoswine, and I'm very familiar with the team that my opponent is using, so I know that this Mamoswine has the Focus Sash item, so my Stakataka won't be able to get the KO with a super effective Gyro Ball. So instead I'm going to have my Stakataka get some damage onto both of the opposing Pokemon with a Rock Slide. This will break the Mamoswine's Focus Sash and get the damage that I need to finish off the opposing Galarian Moltres with a Max Flare from my Alolan Marowak. The opposing Mamoswine will finish off my Stakataka with an Earthquake, but my Alolan Marowak took the hit pretty well, since my Alolan Marowak has very good physical defense. Since the opposing Mamoswine knocked out my Stakataka, my Rillaboom gets to come in for free without taking any damage, and my Rillaboom can finish off the opposing Mamoswine with a super effective Grassy Glide. My opponent is going to send in the Nihilego, but my Dynamax Alolan Marowak can easily take it out with a Max Phantasm. My opponent could have tried for a double protect to stall out the Trick Room, but the Max Phantasm would still get the defense drop onto both Pokemon, and the Nihilego would take a lot of damage from Max Phantasm through Protect, which would put it in KO range for a Grassy Glide from my Rillaboom. So there's not much that my opponent could have done at this point. And that's pretty much good game, but my opponent is going to disconnect since they are obviously feeling salty about losing this battle. Here's the rental code for my team once again. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have any questions or comments about my team, be sure to leave a comment below. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my weakness policy Inteleon showcase, and I'll catch you all next time.